Yeah, there we go. Okay, yeah. 6 o'clock, we'll call the meeting to order. Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, very exciting roll call. Foraker.
Present.
Edler.
Present.
Schaffer, present. Campbell is absent and Fordyce is absent. And our beloved mayor is also absent. Okay, number 4, approval of the agenda.
Motion to approve the agenda.
I second it.
Okay, we'll call Foraker.
Aye.
Edler.
Aye.
Schaffer, aye. Okay, fabulous. 5, citizens hearing and other comments. We'll start with the sheriff.
So these are the August numbers. We had 44 calls for service in August. Number of radar setups, speed complaints that came in, and things like that. So we got those up and going. But so far for September, school traffic and things like that. Keep an eye out there on White Oak with that detour up to 10 and stuff. So it's been pretty easy going.
Nothing too exciting or different. You guys have any questions? Awesome. Thank you so much. Okay, we will move on to Mr. Drey.
12 call for service, 9 medical, 3 rescue. Had a couple bad ones in there, but all in all, it was a lower duty month. So we're back into doing EMS support for the varsity football games. And also we're gonna have a couple people go over for an invitational first ever.
Oh, yeah.
For something that North Polk is hosting.
Any questions? No. Awesome. Thank you so much. Okay, public comments not on the agenda, 3-minute limit. And as a reminder, if you can just state your name when you start, since we do record, that would be great. Just anyone have any comments? Yeah.
My name's Hallie Allison. I live at 109 Northeast Allison Avenue. If y'all are in the area, I'm sure you know my dogs, the 2 pit bulls and a Rottweiler on the corner. We have an invisible fence to keep the dogs in. However, that doesn't keep people and animals out of the yard. So I was just hoping to be able to put up a 4-foot chain link fence so people can still see through it as they're driving around the corners, just to protect us, protect everyone else.
Yeah, you have to run that through zoning and whatnot.
Is it a corner lot?
Yes, I have pictures of the yard if you want to see
I
them.
know there's just different regulations for corner lots.
Okay.
That'd be,
What's that?
It would go to board adjustment.
Where's
Yeah.
that?
So.
Yeah, excellent. We'll get you some information on getting that submitted to Board of Adjustments and see what they say on it. Makes sense to me. So, anybody else? Perfect. Okay. Number 6, the consent agenda. Need a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda. Or if you have questions.
Motion to approve the consent agenda.
I second it.
Okay, roll call. Foraker.
Aye.
Edler.
Aye.
Schaffer, aye. Okay, awesome. Okay, 7, business items. Item number 1, or A, appoint member to Parks and Rec Board, and I know Mary is here. Would you like to share knowledge and thoughts with us, please?
Yes, so I've got a letter here that we wrote to the Elkhart City Council. So all 4 Parks and Recreation Board candidates, Dan Fritz, Cheyenne Sips, Sam Cruz, and Kara Hetrick, display a strong sense of investment and motivation for a volunteer board whose time, effort, and passion accomplishes our mission of enhancing park and recreation amenities and programs. 4 applicants is a clear sign of the momentum and commitment many in our community are willing to give. So the board would like to thank Dan, Cheyenne, Sam, Kara for raising their hand and encourage them to continue to be active and passionate about our city and parks. The Parks Recreation Board met on September 9th. At the time, we had 2 applications for the open board position to review, and we were aware of at least one more that would arrive by the end of the week. No formal vote for recommending or nominating an applicant was made at that meeting. Outside our meeting, once all applications could be reviewed, the board could not come to a consensus. We have 4 very strong candidates. So if the council would allow, we'd like to direct your attention to the applicants Sam Cruz and Kara Hetrick. For Sam Cruz, as the board further explores managing and enhancing Memorial Ballpark's fields, Sam's experience as Iowa Sports Turf Director of Maintenance Operations and degree in turf grass maintenance is valuable and timely. His knowledge around ballpark management could play a key role in not only improving the baseball fields for competitive play, but helping the city and board with management structure of these fields with groups like AES and 3Ts. For Kara Hetrick, Kara's degree in horticulture and experience with public garden space design directly correlates to the board's interest in city beatification and cleanup initiatives. Her expertise, along with these initiatives, could support public works in maintaining our parks at a high standard and, in her words, help create welcoming, vibrant green spaces that bring the community together. So the board has a clear need for the expertise of both Sam and Kara, and we would ask council to make the final appointment while considering our city's strategic plan completed last fall in 2024, as well as our current and future parks and recreation needs. With you. Any questions?
I do have a question for Katie. I know there's 5 seats on the board. Is there any, with both being a very strong candidates and need, we're kind of in need of those spots. Is there any reason we couldn't have a 6th member, or is that too many? Do we have to stay at 5?
Our code says 5. It's a 5-member committee.
Okay.
So I can't confirm 100% that we could appoint 2 members at this time.
But maybe in the future that's
Yes,
possible.
we
if
could look
wanted
and
to.
see if we wanted to make the board maybe 5 to 7. But I'd have to check on that.
And there was communication about that, or discussion about that at the meeting. It was exciting to have this much interest.
Yeah,
We're, like,
it is.
super excited to have this many people submit. And so looking at, have we grown enough that it makes sense to look at bringing on another person or not? So yeah, at this point, I think we're probably in the position where we can appoint 1, and then, barring conversations, we can talk at the next parks meeting, and then you can do some looking too.
Yeah.
See if it makes sense to look at bringing a second one on as well. You have letters or emails from Brad and Brad?
I don't know if I have them printed out
Did you guys see
specifically.
those?
Let me see if I
yeah.
can them to myself. I can read Brad Campbell's. I did not get Brad Fordyce's email. Brad Campbell just stated, after reviewing the candidates for the parks vacancy, I would nominate Kara based off of her current experience. That's what Brad Campbell said. I don't have Brad Fordyce's email.
Okay, perfect.
I'm kind of torn. I think they're both really strong. I feel like we absolutely need beautification of the town, but I know we're also trying to bring the ballparks online for the city. So I feel like maybe that's where we need to be right now, and that's just kind of my opinion. But I do feel like beautification is definitely something we need in the future. So I think if we end up bringing a 6th person on, that would be fantastic to have them both. So.
Personally, for me, I would probably lean towards Kara. As far as the ballpark turf goes, Sam would certainly be able to help out with that process. Doesn't have to be on the board to do that. I also have personal knowledge of Dan Fritz, having worked with him before, and I would personally like to encourage him to maybe watch out for planning and zoning or something like that. Position to come up with.
I was also leaning towards Kara, only because we've got Stacy currently on the board, really like championing the ball field. So that is to some degree represented at this moment. And yeah, to your point, him not being on the board won't exclude him from helping plug into that. And depending on what forward motion we have with the board, we could always look at adding him. But green space and parks and helping manage those things, I think, has been kind of at the top of our thought process on Parks and Rec, at least in the time that I've been with them. And also, I think, falls in line with what we were talking about during our strategic planning as well, as far as the little things we could do to help with beautification and whatnot. And so I think she could be a really strong asset in that area where we probably are a little weak right now in our representation. So it would help fill in a little bit of a gap. Are we comfortable making a decision?
I'm okay with either person. Here's what we want to go with, and you can do that.
We have to do a motion and a second to appoint?
Yep.
Okay.
Correct.
I move to appoint Kara as a member of the Parks Board.
I second it.
Okay, roll call. Foraker.
Aye.
Edler.
Aye.
Schaffer, aye. Fabulous. And then, yeah, we'll do some digging into adding people, what that looks like, that sort of thing.
Thanks, Mary.
Awesome. Thank you. Okay, moving on to B, second reading of ordinance number 2025-6, an ordinance amending the Elkhart Code of Ordinances, chapters 110 and 111 to provide for a 2% natural gas and electric franchise fee. I believe we need a motion and a second to open the public hearing.
There's no.
No, there is no public
It's just
hearing.
a second
I told you I
reading.
was gonna mess
It's
this
okay. No, it's no problem.
Okay,
We're motioning to approve the second reading.
Correct.
Okay.
Yep.
And I move to approve the second reading of ordinance number 2025-6, an ordinance amending the Elkhart Code of Ordinances, chapters 110 and 111 to provide for a 2% natural gas and electric franchise fee.
I second it.
okay, roll call. Foraker.
Aye.
Edler.
Aye.
Schaefer, aye. We don't have the option of waiving the third reading because there's only 3 of us here, so at this point it is just a second reading.
Do we have to schedule a third reading?
Schedule what?
Do we have to schedule a third reading for the next?
I'll put all the rest of these on October's agenda.
Thank you.
Any conversation about that? Anything?
Nope.
Okay.
We've had really good conversations past time. I think we're good.
Yeah, I kind of think this next slug here, these are all those same ordinances that we were looking to change in collaboration with the things that the state changed. So it's going to be a lot of just reading. Okay, so we're good to move on?
Yep. So you're looking to approve all of these next ordinances on their second read.
Okay. Like we looking to approve them on the second read. This is the first read now.
Nope, you guys approved the first reading at the August meeting.
Okay.
So we're approving the second reading for the third reading to be next month.
Correct.
Okay. And we will do them individually.
Yep.
Okay. Moving on to C, ordinance number 2025-7, amending the Code of Ordinances of the City of Elkhart, Iowa by amending provisions pertaining to cigarette and tobacco permits. A motion and a second for the second reading.
I motion to approve the second reading of ordinance 2025-7, amending the Code of Ordinances of the City of Elkhart by amending provisions pertaining to cigarette and tobacco permits.
Second.
Foraker,
Aye.
Edler.
Aye.
Schaefer, aye. Well done. Okay, D, ordinance number 2025-8, amending the Code of Ordinances of the City of Elkhart, Iowa by amending provisions pertaining to public hearing requirements. Motion and a second to do the second reading.
To approve the second reading of ordinance number 2025-8, amending the Code of Ordinances of the City of Elkhart, Iowa by amending provisions pertaining to public hearing requirements.
I second it. Sorry.
Foraker.
Aye.
Edler.
Aye.
Schaefer, aye. If you guys have discussion, jump in at any point. E, ordinance number 2025-9, amending the Code of Ordinance of the City of Elkhart, Iowa by amending provisions pertaining to conflict of interest. I have a motion and a second for the second reading.
I motion to approve the second reading of ordinance 2025-9, amending the Code of Ordinances of the City of Elkhart by amending provisions pertaining to conflict of interest.
Second.
Foraker.
Aye.
Edler.
Aye.
Schaefer, aye. F, ordinance number 2025-10, amending the Code of Ordinances of the City of Elkhart, Iowa by adding a new section prohibiting false representation of service animals. I have a motion and second for the second reading.
Motion to approve the second reading of ordinance number 2025-10, amending the Code of Ordinances of the City of Elkhart, Iowa by adding a new section prohibiting false representation of a service animal.
Foraker.
Aye.
Edler.
Aye.
Schaefer, aye. G, ordinance number 2025-11, amending the code of ordinances of the city of Elkhart, Iowa by amending provisions pertaining to fireworks. Do I have a motion and a second?
I motion to approve ordinance 2025-10, ordinance
11.
Oops. I'm a little off tonight.
I got you.
Ordinance number 2025-11, amending the code of ordinances of the city of Elkhart, Iowa by amending provisions pertaining to fireworks.
Second.
Foraker,
Aye.
Edler,
Aye.
Schaefer, aye. H, ordinance number 2025-12, amending the code of ordinances of the city of Elkhart, Iowa by amending provisions pertaining to liquor licenses and wine and beer permits. Do I have a motion and a second?
Motion to approve second reading of ordinance number 2025-12, amending the code of ordinances of the city of Elkhart, Iowa by amending provisions pertaining to liquor licenses and wine and beer permits.
I second it.
Foraker,
Aye.
Edler,
Aye.
Schaefer, aye. I, resolution 2025-53, a resolution adopting the purchase policy for the city of Elkhart, Iowa.
Yes, so staff did a little bit of legwork trying to see if we could locate a policy that had been adopted previously regarding purchasing requirements. We could not find anything, and therefore I am requesting that you consider and approve the purchasing policy that was in the packet for tonight. It was reviewed by our city attorney, and he made a couple changes to it as well. And he stated, if you guys are good with all of the thresholds and the rules, then you can approve it tonight if you would like to. But this would just, having this policy would provide our staff more direction anytime there's a project where we have to get multiple bids, or a large project that's over 10,000 would have to come to the council for approval.
Yeah. Did you guys have any issues, questions? Reviewing it? I didn't see
I'm okay
anything.
with all the changes.
I didn't see anything exciting when I was looking at it. You guys comfortable with approving it? Do you want to wait and pass it over with the other two?
I think having it gone through the legal review, that everything should be fine on that. So, okay. This motion to adopt resolution 2025-53, rules of resolution adopting the purchasing policy for the city of Elkhart, Iowa.
I'll second it.
Foraker,
Aye.
Edler,
Aye.
Schaefer, aye. Policy adopted. Okay, J, resolution 2025-54, a resolution adopting a policy for the use of security cameras on city property.
Okay, so the cameras are all installed at the park. And I think Ron had mentioned that, it would be appropriate to adopt a policy for the use of it and to cover any cameras that might be installed in the future. I crafted that, and then the city attorney did review it as well to make sure it was all covered with, I think it's chapter 22 of Iowa Code has some provisions that outline, protected private information. So we touched on that in it too.
I think it's absolutely necessary, and to make
Yeah.
sure we're covered in the future, so I'm okay with that.
Yeah, again, I don't think I saw anything on here that jumped out at me as concerning or vague, which is good.
The attorney thought everything looked good.
Yeah.
What we had.
He had a few changes he made.
And you
but-
already made those.
Yes, yep.
Okay. Yeah. I'm good. Okay. I move to approve resolution 2025-54, a resolution adopting a policy for the use of security cameras on city property.
Second.
Foraker,
Aye.
Edler,
Aye.
Schaefer, aye. Resolution passes. Okay, moving on to 8, discussion items, comprehensive plan feedback. So the homework this time was to look at the transportation section of the 2019 comp plan and kind of suss out of that if there's things that we think are valuable that we'd like to consider carrying over into this one. I have opinions, but I'll welcome somebody else talking first. There, I have extras, passes too. Because I brought my big one.
I mean, I do like the walkability of the new park around the pond. If there was a way to get more, or I guess, encourage more foot traffic to the west side of town, that wouldn't be a bad thing. No, requiring sidewalks at this point is probably not going to be a positive thing, but the walking trail to the north of Elm, if that could be continued on to this side of town, that might not be a bad idea. Make it a little bit more pedestrian friendly.
I don't think, in our future plans, when we do streets and curb and gutter and stuff, we're not gonna put in any additional sidewalks on the west side of town. Right. I mean, is that right?
I don't think it was in the plan right now, but I don't think we've really scoped all that out yet, or,
I mean, I don't think we can. I think it's
Yeah.
kind of a lost cause. Check.
I don't know if it's a lost cause.
I mean, I wish we would have done sidewalk down the rest of Main Street, but that's long gone.
We can always relook at that. I mean, I think it is important. I would agree, and I think you're both thinking the same thing. I think it's important to continue to focus on being as pedestrian friendly as possible. We historically are not particularly pedestrian friendly, and it is sometimes hard to get to all the different chunks of town well. And so that is something I would like to see brought into the next comp plan, is continuing to assess what we can do to improve that. There's been some really great suggestions. And so I don't want to lose that in the next comp plan. I think it's important to continue to discuss that. I am less concerned about things like the functional and brand supported community wayfaring system.
Yeah,
We don't have a lot to wayfare to yet. It'll be great when we get there. But that feels a little cart before the horse for me right now. And we've been focused on transportation safety. It's been a conversation, I think, in every council meeting, so I don't think that's something that's gonna fall off either. So yeah, that was when I was looking at it, my biggest thing, the signage around town. Like, obviously, as we grow, we can always look at digging into that more, but I don't think it's necessarily something we need to put in this comprehensive plan as something that we're actively and passionately driving towards. Yeah, that's just my opinion though.
Connecting regional trails would be great, as long as we're not the one paying for it.
right. It's gonna be a while. I mean,
Yeah.
There's none real close by.
no, but I would like to see that in the future.
There is when, I believe Polk City got awarded money, through MPO to connect to a regional trail. So once we get to that size where we're eligible for funding through them, that could be an opportunity to get that funding. So
We're pretty far from any trail, right? I mean, we either have Heartland, is that the one? Yeah,
Part of Iowa, yeah.
part of Iowa, sorry. And, that would be the closest to connect, wouldn't it? I mean, it's still gonna take quite a bit. Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be, because there might be things that develop up and out of Bondary too eventually. So, I mean, I think we all know we're open down the road to being connected. That's something we would like to see. But yeah, to your point, like, we don't have the resources right now to invest in intentionally going out and trying to connect ourselves. So
Yeah.
Again, I don't think it's something we necessarily need to put a lot of brain on right now. Also, I think there was something in the 2019 comp plan that was kind of focusing on the Northeast Beltway road project and how we were going to capitalize on opportunities there. And I don't think that's something that we really need to focus on as well. Mike, do you have?
Ship sailed.
So we can look away at that. The other part, was it in for the discussion tonight about like the business revitalization? Was that a different part of it? I might have jumped ahead.
I don't think so. I just had transportation and then economic development as our two topics.
Okay. Yeah, I jumped around. Okay. Are we good talking about transportation? We feel, okay.
That
Okay.
Beltway again.
We don't need to worry about the Beltway. Economic development goals, objectives, and strategies. What were you guys' thoughts? That third one was a little bit of a thorn in the side still.
Your table's gonna fall over.
Oh,
There you go.
Thank you.
You saved a life.
It's an embarrassment.
I mean, we definitely want to encourage businesses to come here, get a little bit more variety of businesses. But, I mean, that's also up to business owners to develop.
I think we're in a unique position, being so close to Ankeny, knowing that Ankeny is continuing to expand and evolve and have everything. We can be really particular about what we do bring in, so there's things that truly benefit our citizens and us. I think that'll be something that's pretty important moving forward. Yeah, I don't know. There's been conversation about like trying to make a chamber and that sort of thing. And so I think there's some movement and some rights underneath a few things, but I didn't see anything, again, with the exception of the Beltway, in here that necessarily needed to go away. I think it's all great. I just think we need to be more intentional about like what things do go into the industrial park.
Yeah.
Are those to the benefit of everyone, and are we being responsible about that, you know, when it comes to taxes and
Strategic
things?
on what's coming
Yeah,
in.
a little bit more strategic than.
And like where it's gonna be placed. I think that, industrial and commercial is necessary, but I also don't want you coming into town and it being a hard, just hit with all the industrial. I'm struggling with that. I'm not saying you shouldn't. I'm just saying it's a lot.
Well, the glory of a comp plan will be that we can be a little bit more strategic about that, because where we might in the past have only been excited about just anything and everything that we can bring in,
Yeah.
let's bring it in to help us grow.
I want to be better.
Yeah, I agree with you. I'd like to be more intentional. We also know what happens or the issues that we run into when we do put businesses in locations that aren't ideal for them. And so being, again, a little bit more strategic as we move forward. And we can definitely do that within the comp plan on not only trying to attract businesses that are of benefit to our citizens, but making sure we're putting them in locations that make sense for those
Yeah.
businesses to see them succeed, that don't inhibit parking concerns, and all the things that have already been brought up in the past. So, yeah, to your point, like we can't undo the fact that as you're driving in, you're going to hit the industrial park first, but what can we do to make that,
Look nice.
yeah, a better transition, a better welcome
Yes.
into town? I think that's definitely something to keep on the comp plan moving forward. Thoughts?
So eventually down the road, getting an economic development committee of some sort that is able to get information out to prospective businesses, letting them know of small business administration fund, things like that.
Yeah, I want to do what we can to be supportive and friendly and helpful to the businesses that are already here. And then, yeah, be intentional about the relationships that we form moving forward, so that they're to everybody's benefit. My thoughts on that. More conversation?
Yep.
Perfect. Well, more homework for next month.
Yeah,
Okay, so that is comp plan chat time. Discussion item B, review of Memorial Park ball field rental policy. Will you guys get a chance to dig through that? You have words?
Yeah, so this was sent to the Baseball and Softball Association, to Tom Owens, and then it was also sent to Jeff Pardon, the president of AES. I don't think Jeff has had a chance to really give feedback yet, and that's why it is on the agenda for discussion only. I wanted to get your guys' thoughts on it, what you thought at first glance, if there was any glaring issues that we need to address within the draft. But this is what we have so far. Our insurance company is reviewing the hold harmless statement just to make sure that whatever we do adopt in the future covers the city for any liability at the park.
Yeah, didn't we discuss, I'm not sure it's covered here or not, but didn't we discuss that we wouldn't overlap times? Is that what I'm trying to say? Does this cover that?
Overlap them as far as like you don't want to rent out to two different organizations at the same time for different fields, or
Maybe it was the buffer between.
and one of the things that Tom did bring up is how they've had issues in the past with like, disputes at the field, people not aware that there's a process to rent them or to reserve them. So I think we'd have to actively, advertise it, maybe get a board out there like he recommended, maybe, we'd have to really get information pushed out to the public so we can hopefully prevent that as much as possible.
How did we decide on a rental season, like July to October? How did we decide?
Yeah, so I originally had April 15th through October 15th, but Jeff said that AES uses the fields heavily during April, May, June, and the beginning of July. So he's like, it doesn't really, or did Tom? I don't know, Tom or Jeff said that. And so it was kind of like, it doesn't make sense for us to even advertise that we're renting the fields out during those months if AES is going to be the primary user. So that's how we came to the July 15th through the October 15th.
Ron, do you know if that affects, I know last time you had talked about men's softball possibly coming back. Does not renting it till July, does that affect anything that they have going on? I don't know what their
They
season's
play a lot of
like.
games in July
Oh,
anyway in there as they go through, but
Okay.
depends on what they do. They'll start playing down there. Oh, they'll start playing some in May, but they'll play some down there in June. Most of theirs gonna be nights though. They have a few weekends when they do it, but most of it in there, they play in the evenings in there, and then, I don't know, that tournament sometimes they have in July, June, July, sometime into there, but they go clear through to August.
So what happens in that if they needed to practice, during that May to July 1st time in the evening?
If AES does?
No, if the softball, the slow pitch softball comes back and they want to use the equipment and stuff but they want to start practicing in June or whatever, so maybe
Maybe
that special circumstance.
Yeah, maybe that's a case where we work with AES because in here it says those two organizations have first priority use anyways.
Mm-hmm.
They've always worked out with the
Yeah.
Little League anyway.
So it really wouldn't be a big deal. Okay.
This policy is though, last meeting I think we discussed only renting it out for practices. So this policy just has practices outlined
Yeah, I saw it said no
for
tournaments.
outside or yeah. So
We would want to change that, wouldn't we, to allow for,
We can do both the schools.
yeah.
So do you want to allow games and tournaments to take place? That's a lot more spectators to be hosting that would, be parking, using the restroom, all that.
JV and varsity both used it. They used to be the high school field. And JV and varsity both used it for tournaments.
So will they need to now with the new ball fields plus the existing ball fields?
They're still talking JV because that's mainly varsity.
Is this something we need to reach out to the school and just check what their intentions are, if that's something that they need?
Yeah, I'd look into that line.
Yeah.
I'd look into 6 a little bit more.
Okay.
My other question, and I was just rereading through to make sure I hadn't missed it earlier. What are we looking at as far as enforcement on these things? Because like it's great to say your dog has to be on a leash and you have to pick up after it, but like who's enforcing that? What is that going to look like?
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, the city, after hours, I mean, technically, if the Polk County Sheriff is called to an incident out there, they would go, but this is something I'd have to run by Polk County Sheriff's Office before we pass anything. Because they'd be the ones on site after hours.
Okay, I just want to make sure we've got like an appropriate system in place for, I don't want it to just be word of mouth that somebody's like, oh, so-and-so was at the practice with their dog and it was running around and that's not allowed. And then we would have to figure out, if we.
Right, that's like that for smoking too. How you get,
Right.
how you gonna
And so
control
then do we not issue, like, do we not let those people use it again in the future? Is there a 3 strikes and you're out policy? Like, that was weird. Sorry, accidental Johnny baseball pun there. Take that back. That would be my biggest concern is I just don't know. And then we had the conversation last month as far as, getting people keys and things. Is that, us taking turns,
Yeah,
having
I'm
some
okay
degree
with
of
that.
responsibility for that? Are we also the ones then that as we're handing keys over, we're expressing, hey, these are the rules?
Yeah. First, I'm okay with like going, 1 week somebody that does it, next week somebody else does it, alternating, so that somebody on the council has keys and can turn it on and off at any time. We don't have to have Ron or Rick on call or anything. So I'm okay with that.
Yes, rules are great, but as we've run into with a lot of other things, enforcement with rules without enforcement is nothing. I still don't quite know how we enforce all this, what that looks like.
Yeah, so we would, at the time that they would reserve and sign, we would communicate all the rules to them, giving them a copy. And then it would be very similar to, we rent out this facility on the weekends. And if there are any issues, they call the sheriff's department office. So, I can certainly put, emergency contacts from the city on there too. But as far as enforcement goes, yes, you're right. We could add language to, put some 3 strikes and you're out or something of that matter on there.
Yeah, I'd like there to be some sort of explanation on here of if you do violate these, this is what that process looks like.
Yeah.
Maybe first time's a warning, second time's a fee, third
Yeah.
time is
Absolutely. I can look into
you
that.
make the list.
Because if there's no,
No
to that same end, if there's no consequence to, it's like, oh yeah, whoops, we didn't pick up our garbage again.
Yeah.
They check Bonner and or Ankeny or them, see how they do their stuff, so they got some.
No, I used, Tom actually provided, it's Walker Johnson complex out of Urbandale. So I really looked at theirs and this is a lot of what's in their policy, so.
They may have something on that too. There's quite a problem with people turning dogs loose down there. Little League's got the same thing.
Sure.
That's that's the one I saw right away. I was like, I was gonna.
Mm-hmm. And if we've got dogs running loose, Polk County Animal Control, that's what we have a contract with them for, so.
Yeah, but you can't enforce city ordinance.
Mm-hmm.
They can just come out and check the dog, they cannot enforce city ordinance.
Right.
Yeah, most of the things that were on here, I had no issue with it. It looked pretty good. My biggest concern was the enforcement piece, but I didn't see anything actually in the list of guidelines that seemed egregious. I acknowledge that I am not a baseball, softball person, so there could be something that I wouldn't see in this, like with reference to tournaments and things that wouldn't make sense to me. So I'm glad other people with knowledge in that area are speaking up, but I'd want to dig a little bit more into interest in tournaments or possibilities, and that might be something where it does make sense to like tap Bondurant or somebody and say, do you see this? Do you have issue with this? What does that look like for you guys? And then, yeah, what enforcement would look like and some sort of understanding of consequences to violation of the guidelines.
Absolutely. Yep, I will look into that. And then also, once I hear back more from Jeff, I'm sure some things will probably change a little bit too. So,
You anything, Rob?
Just my experience with Ankeny Little League previously is, generally in their heavy time frame, they have evenings during the week, and then Saturday they typically go to like 12 or 2, and then after that is when they do tournaments Saturday afternoon and Sunday.
okay.
So working out a schedule with AES to make sure that they don't have games scheduled and then
Right.
be available for tournaments.
Okay. Yes.
And I do want to make sure that he gets his chance to get his feedback in as well.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I will make sure that we're all on the same page before we present anything for approval.
Because this ideally should be to their benefit, so I don't want to do anything that feels like it's happening to them. That would be unfortunate. Further discussion? So we'll work on those couple things and then bring it back next month.
Sounds good.
Awesome. Okay. 9, reports from elected officials, city staff, and standing committees. Rob, you want to go first?
Okay. All right. Last month, Polk County Emergency Management, a big portion of the meeting was talking about future payments, with the state not really being cooperative with how they make up budget shortfalls of being forced to pay the state money for the 911.
Very politely.
Yes. Currently, the way that the Polk County Emergency Management gets their funds is billing each city based on, or each population unit based on the census population. So that is a fixed number for 5 to 10 years, depending on if there's a special census going. That's nice in that it's equitable to all of the cities, but it hurts them as far as, year 9, you can't really do anything. So they brought up possibly converting it to property tax valuation. It'd be a similar amount to what they charge per person to the city now. So it would be reducing the city portion of the property tax, increasing Polk County. However, West Des Moines objected to that because they have similar population to Ankeny, but with Jordan Creek Mall, Wells Fargo campus, things like that, their property valuation is considerably higher. So they would get charged more based on property valuation. So currently it is back to the drawing board. But some other things that they had is they wanted to make sure that residents were aware that they could sign up for Alert Iowa through their cell phone. That is more of a targeted emergency alert system, and it's based off of where their location is according to the cell towers, but you have to opt in.
That's something we could probably promote in the newsletter or something, so people know that that's an option to them. I'm sure a lot of people don't know.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
That's it.
I like it. Jill.
I did not make the Midwest Waste Authority meeting this month. They called me. We had DMAC orientation as well as back to school night, and so there's just no way I could make it. That they needed for quorum, so they did try to call and get going. So I did miss that meeting. We did have a cemetery meeting just this last month, and we did have a new member sign up, so that's fantastic. Nice. So anybody else, if they want to join the cemetery committee, please do so. Cemetery cleanup day this fall is Saturday, this is September 27th. So if you have any flowers out there, I suggest you pull them ahead of time so they can clean up and we can take them back down and put them on cemeteries when they are finished cleaning. I know Katie is gonna work on some information with other cities to see how they set up their new plots or future plots. I know Chip really wants to put some new spots out there, but we just want to make sure we're doing it the right way. We have a policy, we have a plan, and that there's nothing underneath the ground that you could puncture or mess with in the future. So we're doing a little digging into that. We have 17 cemetery spaces left, so we're getting down there. I know we need more. I just want to make sure we're doing the right thing. So I know we're still working on that. That's it. Next meeting's in November.
Parks met, obviously we're looking, at continuing to grow and appoint people and that sort of thing. One of the things that we discussed that we were pretty excited about, with the interest in people that submitted to be on the board, looking into whether or not there's interest in like a volunteer committee getting put together of people who don't necessarily want to, have an assigned board position, but would love to help with weeding flower beds or help with cleaning sidewalks or, whatever the case might be. So we were pretty intent on digging more into that moving forward to see if we can get some momentum there. I think there is an interest there. I think that is something that a bunch of people will probably jump on. So I'm pretty excited about the possibility we have with that. We have Puzzle Palooza on Sunday. Last day for registration is Wednesday. So if you are interested in putting puzzles together for a fabulous trophy that may or may not have a volleyball on the top of it, get your registration in. It's a great time with fun music. And so that's happening on Sunday. And we had a rep come and talk to us a little bit about splash pads. That's this ongoing, there's been interest in the past on that. And so we're just at this point in like a knowledge gathering sort of phase where we're just looking at what exists around us already, what that process has looked like in the past, where future momentum is. So that is strictly at this point an information gathering thing. But it was a great talk. She had very nice, pretty papers to show us. So that was cool. And it was ridiculous the amount of things that you can put on a splash pad if you want to. That was kind of bananas. But I remember, am I missing something?
Just the fishing pier update, but
Yes. They're working on the fishing pier. They're working on the fishing pier. So the other, I guess the fishing pier does remind me, the other thing that we talked about a little bit is, and I think this probably happens with any sort of projects and activities. Sometimes you have a good idea and you create a thing, but you don't necessarily think about all of the aftercare or the extra steps. And there's been, ruffles going around about, the ponds and how do we maintain the ponds. I can pretty confidently state I don't think that anybody probably thought that through long term when they were in the dining, planning, and doing phase of this. So it is actively being addressed right now. But one of the things we talked about was, doing a better job moving forward of helping make sure the information is out there so people know, like, hey, you see all those plants around the pond. That's actually native wild plants that are helping with the drainage and all the, like, they're intentional. They're supposed to be that way. Here's the plan for them. It is not to mow them. This is what this looks like, just so people have appropriate expectations so then they can hold us accountable if we're not holding up our end of the deal, but they're not looking for something that's not actually supposed to be there. The fishing pier will help a lot with, I think, people's concerns about the plants, because it, I'm sure, is hard to get to the pond to fish when there's very tall plants there. Pier will solve that problem. So we don't have any new updates on the pier yet, but it is in the works. And yeah, then hopefully moving forward, we can just do a better job of being more intentional about education and acknowledging when there's things that we didn't think of that need to be handled. I don't recommend getting a swan for the ponds. I don't think that solves the problem. As cool as that sounded, I don't think that's going to fix anything.
I don't think that we could, I mean, we can always do a fountain, but I don't think it's necessary. I think there's ways around it to treat the pond without having a fountain. And if we have a fountain, I mean, what does that look like I mean, that's something that we have to pay. That's not HOA or anything. Then have to electric going through it.
And as always,
see that.
if people have suggestions, thoughts, things like that, like, please direct them to the appropriate people, whether that is Ron or Mary or me or Johnny or whoever, like if you've got a good idea or a thought or a question, just throw it by the right people, run it by Katie, whatever, just get it to us. Cause again, yeah, somebody might have a great idea. Not a swan, but a great idea we haven't thought of. And we want that to get out. We don't want it to get lost in the online shuffle of general comments and whatnot. So, please, if you do have good ideas or thoughts or questions and problems, just point them the right direction so we can get you the right answers, or get your good idea to the right people that can then help make that happen. So I think that's just my big ask right now. Like I said, I'm quite confident that was just a ball drop on long-term pond maintenance. There's nobody here to argue with me about it, so I'm just gonna lean on that. But we can get going with it moving forward. So we will work on it. Just talk to us. That is what I've got.
Okay. Yeah.
You have Brad Campbell's report.
Do you want me to read the?
I don't do this.
Did you guys get a chance to read Brad Campbell's report? Okay.
Yes.
I'll touch on a couple.
I say there was probably a couple things that are good to get out for the benefit of the viewing audience.
So Brad Campbell stated, the Public Works team has been busy with the mulch project at Ferry Point Park. They have spent several hours picking weeds from the playground area. They have gotten to the point where new mulch can be laid. They tried digging out the old mulch and compost it has turned into. However, the ground is soft, too soft that the skid loader sunk and was unable to scoop it out. The plan now is to cover the ground with mulch. Moving forward, we need to come up with an alternative plan, possibly rubber mulch to eliminate the breakdown of mulch, or more grading, tile, or removing ties to scoop all of the old composite out to provide a better drainage solution. And then, yes, he touched on tomorrow we are holding a meeting regarding the water treatment plant with West Tech, Automatic Systems, the city, the engineers, to hopefully get some resolutions at that time. And I will provide you guys all an update once we have that. It's in the afternoon. Discussions about thinking and researching regarding a third full-time public works employee and what that looks like. Tom Thorpe is, I think, coming up on retirement, and he holds the certifications to treat our water and wastewater systems. So that would be, ideally have someone in that role that could do that for us would be the best case scenario. And that was about it, I think.
Doesn't Ron or Rick have some certifications in there?
Rick has his grade 1 water. Both of our plants require grade 2, which can be, grade 2 is a lot tougher to obtain. So Tom Thorpe is currently certified in grade 4. So he's a rare guy, but yes, there are people out there that get those certifications. So.
Do we have any sort of indication from him about impending retirement? Like, is this something that if we're not being a little bit more proactive about, we're going to find ourselves in a pickle?
He has not directly told me anything about it. I'm thinking it's probably just the guys discussing, but it would, yeah, I can certainly reach out to him and just see like, hey, what's your plan? Because yeah, we'll have to get something figured out.
Do you think that getting those certifications, that's going to require a third person? Because I'd like to not get a third person if we can handle it without.
I would agree. I think it would be great if.
Is that something Ron or Rick can get their certification?
I have brought it up to Rick a couple times.
We could try it out for a while, and if it's too tough to keep up, then we can look into it. But
yeah.
I don't want to hire a third person if we don't need it. And that's just money that we're spending for no reason.
Yep, I have talked to Rick a couple times regarding if he'd be interested in doing it, because
is there a five-year plan? I mean, for retirement, I
don't know what their plan is. I think they're at least at 5 years out still, but yeah, there's lots of options to look at before we go third full time. So,
okay.
The insurance claim on the issue at the lift station is all closed out, and we got that repaired. We ordered the batter's box reinforcement panels we received that grant money in this week, and so AES will get those panels shortly, and then Jeff will install them this spring at the ball field. So that will be exciting. I don't know if you guys saw my email, but the railroad crossing is going to be repaired at the end of this month.
Can you just repair that?
Yes. And I think, so in his reply, they mentioned how this has been an area of concern for a while now. And so they're aware of that. And so I'm hopeful that they will put a more long-term solution in place. When I was talking to Nick from the DOT, he did recommend that I apply for the federal funding to get the entire crossing repaired. And so I will submit that, but he said the wait time it's multi-years, because they have a lot of cities apply for that.
I just noticed the last couple of days how rough it's been.
Yes, yeah, it is. It's a need of it. So, I will keep you guys up to date on the detour and when we're aware of what that will be. I forwarded on the memo from Polk County Public Works regarding the speed limit. They concurred with lowering it. So their plan is to approve those changes at the October 7th Polk County meeting. And then we also have to approve a resolution on our end for the speed limit lowering inside city limits.
So put the signs up and stuff.
Yeah, I believe Ron said we have a 30 miles per hour sign already that he can install, but they will plan to make I think it's the 45 miles per hour. Polk County will install that one. So, yeah.
Yeah, they took it one step further.
They did. But I do think that was a good change because otherwise you'd have 55 to 30. So,
That made sense.
yeah.
I think just in this area, like my son's route, like I think it's like 55 to 45, like back
Yeah.
55, and then
Yep.
drops like 35 from going to all. You know,
Mm-hmm.
it's crazy how that moves.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think it'll be a good change and we're anxious to get that done. We're also looking at, I've been working pretty closely with ICAP recently and we're trying to see if there's other options for our workers' comp policy. Years ago, I don't know what happened and we were thrown off of IMWCA. And so hopefully we can get accepted by them again and save some money if we're able to get on their workers' comp plan. It will take some legwork as far as like getting some safety policies in place, getting a safety committee formed, but we're going to try our best to do that. The comprehensive plan, she sent me this week. They have designed our public engagement website. So I'll review that. And then if there's any changes we want to make, let them know. And then I'll share it with you guys. The gas station, the banker that Mo's working with did reach out to me last week, which I think was a good sign, just asking for documentation and things like that. So the appraisal has been ordered to continue the project, and Seneca is working on the revised construction timeline for it. And then our software. So with our software change right now that we're going through, we started this week some in-depth training all day long today, and then we'll have it tomorrow and then in October. And so just wanted to throw that out there. Please be patient with us if we're trying to work some things out, and we'll have bumps in the road as we go, but it's a lot to take in and learn when you're completely changing your software and how you're looking at the numbers. But those will go live this fall with Edmunds GovTech. And then lastly, Deb did attend a lunch, GCMOA lunch with IPATE, which is the Iowa Public Agency Investment Trust. And so we are going to have him present at the next meeting for you guys. I think that would be a good option for investing our funds. We already approved the resolution last year to do it. It's just a matter of putting the money in there. We currently use CDs, which are great, but iPay offers a lot more liquidity and access to the money So like for our fire department funds, if they're like, nope, we need this in 3 months, we can do that instead of waiting until the CD matures. So he will be at the October meeting, the representative from IPA, to discuss with you options. So talked for a long time. Sorry about that.
You had a lot to say.
And just out of curiosity, and it could be short and sweet. How is I forgot the word.
Oh no. About iPay?
No,
Gas station?
no.
I got a left field.
Code enforcement. How's from your point of view, how's it going with code enforcement? And is there things that you're seeing that would help if we changed, or you're having a lot of?
I feel like we haven't really gotten quite into the process yet to know exactly how it's going, but I know we did talk at the last planning and zoning meeting about possibly looking at our parking rules on this side of town, just because we don't have curb and gutter, so the parking is really limited. And so we talked about maybe looking at those rules as far as allowing people to park.
I would also like to have a conversation in the future with the board about maybe, like for the west side of town especially, most of our driveways are gravel, and sometimes that requires upkeep or adding, or if we wanted to make it wider or anything, the code states that we have to transition it to concrete, and I just don't think that's necessarily always doable for this side of town. So I'd like to see what the rest of the board thinks about that and review that in the future.
Okay. Yeah, planning and zoning, I think they will meet in October. And that's something that they could discuss before that council meeting in October, because I think that's October 12th, 13th, somewhere around there. But I mean, planning and zoning would ultimately, provide a recommendation to council if they were to consider changing that. I think it's a fairly new code that was put into place. I can also do some research as far as, what do other areas.
Yeah, I'd like that. I just think it's not as feasible for this side of town as it is the other side of town. A lot of people from the other side of town sometimes push it more because they already have concrete driveways. They already have curb and gutter. They already have sidewalks, and that's not always something that the west side of town can do. It's just harder. Just this whole side of town.
Yeah, and I think Bill had the same, a similar thought, and I was gonna, research that a little bit and see if there is any other, similar options out there, or
maybe it's like you take it to planning, or my brain's not functioning.
Well, you should
You're
be
fine, yeah.
grandfathered in to put more gravel on to
Yeah.
keep yourself from sinking. That's
Right.
not, now if you,
Well, if you want to put it next to a
But-
parking stall or something, if that's like a variance, or if
Yeah.
that's something you need to get permission from
but as
somebody
far
else.
as I'm on your side, I don't want all this runoff running down to me because you paved half this side of town.
Right.
That's not, I
It's
don't see
not
conducive
yeah.
to anything, because it's bad enough with, I love the way you did the town, paved it, but it does run a lot faster down there and fill up the ditches a lot quicker on less rain, so.
Plus, I think if there's a lot of people that are probably in violation on the west side of town with trailers and things like that, and there's not always everywhere to park for that. So if there was like they could add another stall.
A gravel parking area.
Yes, but there should be rules for that too.
Sure,
Not
yeah.
just do whatever you want. Sure, add a bunch of rock, make it. No, I think there should be rules to that also. But I think it's something that it could be a discussion, is what I'm saying.
Certainly, yes, and I can look and see what's out there.
Deb.
Well, Katie's pretty well covered it. Hello. Let's see. I was going to talk about the new software. We're preparing for our annual exam, which is the 25th that starts. So that's something to look forward to. That report was submitted to the letter. How it is.
Incredible.
She's got lots of reports this fall, so.
Yeah.
we're very grateful to have her here and
Yes,
doing all those finance reports.
it's nice to have those ducks in a row. Mike?
Planning and zoning met last Monday. We didn't have any business that needed voted on. It was just a discussion session, basically a work session. We had several things we talked about, get everybody up to date with what's going on in town and stuff and with the city. A couple of things we did talk about that we will be working probably with council on. One was the question about parking, people parking in the parking on this side of town because there's no curb. There's the streets, as far as the paved portion of the streets, are narrow. If you park so you're not in the parking, then you've blocked off half the street
Right.
and stuff. So that's something that, we felt that probably we should allow it at least until such time as, the streets are redone with curb and gutter, and at that point it becomes totally different. The other thing that came up was as we get new development areas, such as the expansion of the industrial park, as we get more residential proposals come up over in town and stuff, looking at the increase in traffic through these areas, we're talking about the possibility of putting something in there requiring that when they do something like that, that they have to do a traffic impact study.
Yeah.
Because, they want to go another 80 acres on the north side of the existing industrial park. That's going to add more traffic out there. Well, it's a little late to ask for a traffic impact study with Kimberly Woods. The fact is that, most of the traffic from that east end is going to funnel down Madison. Some of it will go across, Grant as they develop that, but it looks like most of it will go down Madison. And that's something that should have been looked at, but we weren't thinking about it at the time when it was first proposed. So that's something we're going to be discussing and working with the council, is those two issues.
I think it's funny that that if you were in any other town, if you were in Bondurant or Ankeny or anywhere else, they already require that. They already require you to do that. So for developers to come out here and kind of throw a fit that they don't think it's necessary to have one, they're just trying to get out of it because we're a smaller town and,
Yeah, Bondurant, Ankeny's 50 years ahead of us on development.
Right.
Bondurant is 20 or 30 years ahead of us. These other
Yes.
places have been through this, so they've already
They figured it out.
adopted these policies. We're playing catch up now. And the fact that those guys are coming out here and raising a stink, it's like,
Yeah.
no, if you're doing it over there, you would be doing the same
Yeah.
thing. So don't come crying to us that we're making you do something that nobody else is because they're all requiring it.
Yeah, and I don't think we need to be like Ankeny and be quite as high profile as them or
Yeah.
charge as much as they do, but I think it's time for us to start getting up to speed with these other towns and getting more accurate keys and policies in place for development.
One other thing, it wasn't discussed at planning and zoning because I did not have the information at the time, but we got a copy of the comprehensive plan for Ballman. And I went through that, that they've got a very aggressive comprehensive plan that some of it I think is a little bit fantasy,
Yeah.
to put it, it's one way to put it. But one thing I did pick up in there that I liked and I will discuss with P and Z and the council as part of their stuff with their comprehensive plan and their land use and stuff. They have a lot more zoning classifications than what we have. And I think that I've thought for a while that we don't have enough different zoning classifications available that would, allow for expanded uses in various areas. So I want to look at what they've got and work something with that. So, they've got multiple kinds of commercial zonings, but we have basically two. They've got more residential options than we have. And then they've got some other things that maybe we just haven't looked at before. One thing we don't need a transmission tower zone area because we don't have 2,000-foot transmission towers here. So that's one we can probably skip.
Yeah,
But
probably.
there's other things in there that it would behoove us to look at that.
Yeah, that makes sense. Awesome. Okay. Well, then we are to item 10. Do I have a motion and a second to adjourn?
To adjourn.
Second.
Porter,
Right.
Edler,
Aye.
Schaefer, aye. Meeting adjourned. Awesome, guys.